Hey there, Curaleaf traders and investors. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also, the channel that was created by a retail investor for retail investors and home to the best MJ community. Today is Monday, October 7th. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. And in this video, we're going to be discussing Curaleaf's upcoming November 6th earnings. Was released today. That's the date that will be released on, and we'll discuss the details. We'll take a look at the estimates, what to expect in terms of revenue and EPS, and then we'll also take a look at the chart and what to expect there in terms of price action in the days, weeks, months ahead. But spoiler alert, it's not looking too good. We could see another leg down and a little bit more short-term pain before some longer term gain. Before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. And as always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Never buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or write. And you can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @CurtPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. And full disclosure, I do own Curaleaf. It's my second largest MJ holding in my portfolio. And fun fact, I did add Curaleaf to my daughter's RESP today, which is a registered education savings plan. Essentially, you get free government money and grants. So I got her grant today for that account, and I actually bought Curaleaf with it. So her first ever stock purchase was Tilray, and now she owns Curaleaf as her second stock ever. And like I said, I took the money from the grant and reinvested that into Curaleaf. So now she holds Tilray and Curaleaf. Super excited to see where that's going to be in 17, 18 years when she's ready to go to school. So here was the press release directly from Curaleaf website. Curaleaf to report third quarter 2024 financial and operational results. And that will be for the quarter ending September 30th, 2024. And the results will be due after market close on November 6th. And they'll be hosting the conference call that day at 5 p.m. Eastern time as well. So here are the analyst estimates. So revenues forecasted at $348.82 million, which is the sector's largest revenue generating company. And we have negative 0.062 in terms of earnings per share or EPS. So we came in at negative 0.06 actual last quarter. So they're expecting it a little bit worse this time around, but expecting a slight loss. And it's very similar to, the Canadian companies. And I continue to compare Tilray and Curaleaf. If you take a look at their revenue, Tilray has the highest revenue of any Canadian company. And well, in terms of all encompassing, not just their MJ revenue, actually High Tide has the highest MJ revenue, but Tilray all encompassing has the highest revenue out of any Canadian company. And then Curaleaf has the largest amount of revenue out of all of the US and globally. And then we've been noticing something similar where we've been seeing a slight loss each quarter and negative EPS of around negative 0.6. Same thing with Tilray. And I think the reason for that is because they're not just building in their own backyard, right? They're building a global company, right? Curaleaf is now a Canadian operator as well. They bought Northern Green Canada. So they have a footprint in Canada. They have a big presence in Germany and in Europe as well, right? So, and not only that, all across the United States. So there's a reason why they're not quite profitable as, say a Green Thumb or a Trulieve is because they're not just focusing on one state or a select few states. Like I think Green Thumb's only in 14 states in the US. So they got a lot of work to go there. So they're only in like 30% of the US states. And then they have to expand internationally, right? Whereas a name like Curaleaf is all over the US, in Canada as well, Germany, and the rest of the EU, right? So they've got a huge head start, in my opinion. But I do think that Curaleaf and Tilray are going to be the biggest companies in this space when it's all said and done. So those are the numbers we'll be watching out for to see whether or not we can beat and get a positive reaction, depending on what the numbers end up being. But those will be the numbers, so you can write those down. Keep an eye out come earnings date. We also have Germany's most populous state approving first MJ cultivation application. And you can see here this was dated today, October 7th. So we continue to see Germany ramping up as we head into the second pillar and for profit, which Curaleaf is going to be a huge beneficiary of that market as well going forward. So we'll take a look at the weekly time frame here. Unfortunately, we have another bearish continuation pattern on deck, which we'll draw here in just a second. I just want to zoom into the daily. We are looking at a potential EMA 12 and 26 bull cross here on the daily, and we have this pennant that's forming. We're going to more than likely see a break out of it at some point soon, but it'd be very telling which way we break out of this. We'll be seeing whether or not this weekly bear flag can confirm. So here was the first one. So we had our high, low, lower high, didn't get above the 0.382 fib, and then once we lost key support there at 357, you just take your measured move here, grab this trend line from high to the low, move it out to your 0.382 fib, and it said we were targeting about 259, and on that move we hit 270. So we came within about 4.5% of that target. Now we have another bear flag forming where we have the high here, the low of the dump. Anything under the 0.382 fib there at 338 is a potential lower high and a weak bounce for a potential second weekly bear flag in a row. And then you just take your measured move there from the high to the low, move it out to your 0.32 fib. And it's saying we could see a drop down to around 204, 205 USD on the OTC, since this is ticker CURLF on the OTC. I don't think that's the most likely scenario. The only way that we would get there, in my opinion, is if we saw some really bad news with regards to like macroeconomics. If we see, tensions in the Middle East start to escalate even more than they already are, then, we could see a pretty big correction on the S&P 500. And I think that's the only way that we would drop from here, because that would mean off that local low to where we would be going, that'd mean about another 25% of downside. So I don't see that as the most likely scenario. The only way that would happen is if we saw some really big sell-offs across the whole broader market, which is very possible. MJ is not set up that well at all with the S&P 500 just hovering around all-time highs. If we were to see a 5-10% correction on SPY, that would be totally healthy, but not totally healthy for MJ. And here we are close to breaking out of this weekly inside bar bearish. It's a double bottom right now at 291. So key support is going to be 270. If we lose that, that confirms the weekly bear flag. And then, like I said, we're probably going to see a move down to around 205, 204. And to negate this weekly bear flag, we need to get above 338 resistance. Break 338, then we're no longer expecting that bearish continuation pattern, but fail to get above 338 with follow through and then come down and lose 270 from here, then that's going to confirm it. Not looking too hot whatsoever. In terms of the weekly time frame, though, we are seeing a bull cross of the MACD, which is great to see here on the weekly time frame. Stochastic already crossed bullish, but we're still bumping our head at that 10-week moving average there at 302. So I want to see 2, preferably 3 candle closes above that 10-week moving average. And overall, MACD bull cross is great to see, but it can take multiple weeks, if not months, before we start to see some sustained movement to the upside after a bull cross like that, because it's on the weekly time frame, right? So in the short term here, not looking too hot. Medium, we're looking pretty good. We just had a bull cross of the 50 and the 100 weekly moving average, but we're back below all of those as well. And we could be gearing up for the first ever 50 and 200 weekly moving average bull cross, but that's likely at least 3 to 6 months out, given how far away they are. But it will be epic nonetheless. On the daily time frame, we already had the death cross. And we've already seen quite a bit of downside as a result of that. And now we're potentially set to see a golden cross over the next few weeks and months. So again, I'm not thinking the weekly bear flag is the most likely scenario, but we have to keep in mind that this is a possibility leading into their earnings. And the more we pull back leading into the earnings, the more that, we don't need to absolutely crush these numbers in order to see a positive reaction. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how much we do pull back leading into those earnings, because if we do see a great report and they beat on earnings, we could see a massive relief rally and jump up as a result of that. But yeah, we're still pretty weak here in the sector at the moment. I'm not sure what's going on with my dog out there. I think he's getting into it with my daughter. She likes to torment him a little bit, but all right, I'm going to go break those two up. Let me know what you think of these numbers. Do you think we're going to beat or miss? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, and we'll continue the conversation there. All right, it's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. Enjoy your evening, and we'll see you again in the next video.